Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the ACW Newscast. I am Hakeem Johnson, your ACW commentator. Wait for it. As always. See, there you gotta wait for it every once in a while, Gotta switch it up. Anyways, it's been a while since we've done a new newscast. The last time I did one was, I believe, around WrestleMania 31. And so I figured, let's just do another newscast for this time being. I'm gonna see if I can try to do more newscasts more often than not, but as I will mention probably at the end of the newscast, there's gonna be a lot of things that are changing right now for me that is going to kind of affect the way ACW is structured for the rest of this year. But I will get into that at the end of this newscast. Today we're going to talk about Payback, which is going to be this Sunday. Well, tonight. I'm recording this on a Saturday night, but the Payback pay-per-view is today. So I'm just going to give you my predictions before you watch Payback, and I'll give you all that good stuff. Also, we're going to go through your questions and comments, and I'm just looking through the questions right now, and I've gotten a lot of questions. Some questions that I did not even expect, but I will answer each and every single one of them, since we have the time. And plus, I might mention a couple of other things, including DCA coming back on the first week of June, and some updates on that as it pertains to that. And we're going to talk about ACW this week, as we are on the road to Fusion. All of that will be talked about. But before I even address anything, before I even talk about anything, this week we unfortunately lost a great musician, an iconic musician, and that would be Mr. BB King, who passed away Friday night at his home in Las Vegas. He was 89 years old. He is the innovator. He is the king of blues. And he will be missed greatly. I send my condolences to his family and friends right now that are going through this tough time. And a little bit known fact about me: hip hop. Hip hop has always been my first love. That'll never change. Hip hop has always been my first love, if you will. So that within itself will never change. But another genre that I was really fond with, genre that I really got entrapped into, was jazz and blues. I grew up listening to that kind of music. My parents, when I was a kid, they would always play a lot of their type of music, whether that would be country. And back when I was a kid, I never liked country, but now that I'm more so grown to listen to more diverse music, I've grown to kind of like certain parts and aspects of country. But anyways, my parents would always put on songs that are country, oldies, Motown, rhythm and blues. Not even R&B today. I'm talking rhythm and blues, doo-wop, New Jack Swing, jazz, obviously, and then they played blues as well. And BB King was one of those many artists that my parents would play that I would grow up with. Now, as a kid, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the music that was being played, but I felt it. As a kid, you would listen to music and you might not understand it, but you can feel it through without your body. And BB King was a artist to me that I never got sick of. His music never made me sick of hearing. Like, if I heard it on the radio, I would just leave the radio station right there just to listen to BB King and then change it to something else when he was done. He made such great hits. The Thrill Is Gone, obviously, Lucille, 3 a.m. Morning Blues. One of my favorite ones, actually, Let the Good Times Roll. That's one of my favorite songs from BB King himself. But you want to talk about the word icon. And that word is being, passed around a lot in today's society, along with the words legend and great. But BB King is the definition of all those words and more. And BB King lived a great life. Even if he had diabetes later on in his life, he still lived it to the fullest. He was still happy. He still loved doing what he did. So, I was a bit kind of taken back and just protrude about the whole situation. But now BB can rest, and his music, his career, and his legacy, but also more importantly, his personality will live on for the annals of time. So, and I was listening to some BB King music for a good hour or two once I heard the news. I just needed to hear something like that. So, BB King, thank you very much for the music that you contributed towards myself and my life, and hopefully, wherever you are, if their heaven does exist, whatever, wherever you may be, I hope you're living it to the fullest, and I hope you're just sitting on a rocking chair playing some good blues music on your guitar. So rest in peace, Mr. King. We'll never forget you, and we promise to make sure nobody else does as well. So, with that out of the way, let me just talk about a couple of things here and there. Let's talk about ACW this week. ACW Excel. ACW Excel 59. Did I say 59? Wow. Anyways, ACW Excel 51. The Excel after ACW victory. As everybody knows, Akuma traded in his Excel Road to Destiny Championship briefcase onto Aang after Aang just retained the Excel Championship against Hiei in the main event of victory, was successfully able to trade it in, and now Akuma is the new Excel Champion. Now, for a lot of people who have followed ACW for a long while, this has been a long time coming for Akuma. If you recall, Akuma debuted at the Royal Rumble 2007, and he debuted against Zuko. They had their match at Animania, won their first blood match that Zuko ultimately won. And then ever since that, during the whole draft that went down when Vegeta got drafted to Impulse and Roger Smith was named the new general manager of Excel in 2008, Akuma wasn't being prominently featured in his own opinion, and he had his quarrels and arguments and disagreements with Roger Smith, with myself, and ACW management. And then I guess this whole thing started last year when Akuma was just taking out people at his own will and didn't care about the consequences, which all culminated into Animania 3, where he won the Excel Road to Destiny briefcase, and now here you're at with ACW victory last week. Akuma finally becomes the Excel champion. Now, what does this all mean eventually? Well, for Aang, a lot of people are going to say that Aang dropped the ball once again, and I really can't agree with that notion. Now, granted, I am not faulting Akuma for trading in his briefcase. That's really not the issue, because he was within the rules to do so. However, let's not have any revisionist history here. It was Hiei after that match at Victory that attacked Aang, allowing Akuma to just take away the scraps off of Aang to win that title. So who's to say that had Aang, who earlier before Hiei attacked Aang and after the match, Aang was able to stop Akuma's first attempt of trading in that briefcase and sent him packing. And had it not been for Hiei, that might have been where we had left off from that night, that mega event. So regardless, Aang was talking about how the loss was important to him, how him losing the title was just devastating after 9 years of working hard to obtain it in the first place at Animania 3. Joe Higashi then interrupts and then just shames Aang down, thinking that he is a choke artist, he is worse than Peyton Manning, Tony Romo, and Donovan McNabb all combined. And then Aang just pretty much attacked Joe Higashi. He was in a lot of emotions. Roger Smith made the main event match of that Excel show, which is Joe Higashi and Aang. Aang defeated Joe Higashi in the main event. After the match, however, is the story. After the match, the lights went out, and when the lights came back on, Aang was found knocked out. And Akuma's symbol was splattered on the ring mat where Aang was. And then when we got a camera shot on top of the entrance stage, Akuma, with blue smoke appearing upward, appeared and turned the whole arena red. So if this is the type of reign that we're looking forward to with Akuma, I have no idea how this is going to be handled. The better question is, who is going to stop him? Because Aang has worked hard for this opportunity, only for Akuma to just take it away from him in just one single brimstone. And for Akuma, he has been waiting to get that championship for a while. And I assume that he's going to do whatever he has to do to keep it within his waist. So, we're going to find out how this story will develop between Aang and Akuma. You can bet that Aang is not going to be finished with Akuma anytime soon. Also what happened during the show. Roger Smith came out again during the show and wanted to address what happened on ACW Victory as well. And that was three men that are very known. If you do watch the anime show Akemi Got Killed, if you do watch that show, if you watch that anime, you know these three well, because they interfered after the Excel Tag Team title match at Victory, where Team Guy were able to retain the Excel Tag Team titles. These three men in Tatsumi, Lubach, and Wave, after that match, attacked Team Guy. And we have no answers. We have no idea why, no purpose, no incentive, nothing. So Roger Smith was looking for answers, and all of a sudden Team Star Fox came and interrupted Roger Smith, talking about how they are the only team that are viable, in their opinion, to be holding the XL Tag Team titles, to the point where Fox even suggested that Roger Smith strip Team Guy out of the XL Tag Team titles, because Team Guy weren't there that night, and we haven't really gotten any updates, even to this day, of the status of Team Guy right now, of that vicious assault at Victory by Lubach, Tatsumi, and Wave. And so Roger Smith was talking down to Fox, obviously denying that request, and Fox is getting a little bit intense. Then the Get Backers show up, Bon Mito and Genji Amano. They wanted to put their stake into the whole tag team division situation. So Roger Smith thought of an idea. At Fusion on June 5th, it will be Team Star Fox, Falco Lombardi, and Fox McCloud going at it against the Get Backers, Bon Mito and Genji Amano, in a tag team matchup where the winners of that match at Fusion will become the undisputed #1 contenders for the XL Tag Team Championships. So that is how Roger Smith is going to deal with that situation as it stands right now. And then even later on in that show, Fox attacked Bon Mito backstage and took out Bon very, very explicitly. So we're going to see how this all transpires. We're going to see how Bon Mito, Genji Amano, Fox McCloud, and Falco Lombardi on the road to Fusion handle who is going to be the standard bearer, who is going to be the best tag team on the XL roster if Team Guy is right now inactive right now. So all that and more. So next week on Excel 52, it will be Choji Akamichi, who he had a lot of impact as well on Victory, because it was Edward Elric going one-on-one against Kanekaman for the television title, and Choji Akamichi came out of nowhere, out of the crowd, speared Kanekaman through the barricade, and allowed Edward Elric to get a count-out victory and retain the television title. And Kakashi Hatake addressed that situation on Excel this week as well, saying that he doesn't know how Choji's feeling or why he did it, but he's going to get to the bottom of it. But nonetheless, Choji Akamichi will be in singles action next week on Excel 52 as he goes one-on-one against the legendary and big Donkey Kong. That is going to be one hell of a match. Two behemoths, two just brick walls, two tanks going at it one-on-one in some powerhouse action. You don't want to miss that match. Also, in some Glamour X action, Reiko Hinomoto, now the undisputed #1 contender for the Glamour X Championship, defeating Cammy at Victory, will go one-on-one against the legendary Samus Aran, who was robbed. And yes, I said it. A lot of people disagree with that word. I don't care. She was robbed by Ino Yamanaka, as Ino Yamanaka retained the Glamour X title against Samus Aran, thanks to the Mystery Woman butting her head where it did not belong. So nonetheless, Samus will compete against Reiko next week on Excel 52. And with Ino Yamanaka, time is ticking. She is finding every way possible to keep the Glamour X Championship within her grasped hands. And with Reiko Hinomoto, she's now the undisputed #1 contender, although they had a little bit of an altercation where Ino from behind belt shot Reiko on the back of her head to let Reiko know that Ino is going to keep that title at all costs. And knowing Ino's history with the title so far, she is looking to do that very thing. So all of that and more on Excel 52 next week. You do not want to miss it, as Excel is on the road to ACW Fusion. Also, however, speaking of Fusion, let's go to the Impulse side this week. And before I even talk about ACW Impulse, I just want to mention a few things. First of all, I want to send all my well wishes to the family and friends of Ryu. If you saw Impulse 56 this week, you saw Ryu assaulted with pipes by Samurai Jack and Zero. But it only got even worse than that when Samurai Jack tossed Ryu inside a car, and Frieza came out then, and he waved for someone to come through, and then a monster truck appeared and drove over the car that Ryu was locked in. And we found out that the person who drove that monster truck later on was Gohan, and I wish I could be shocked. I wish I could be surprised by that news. Unfortunately, I'm not. This is Gohan we're talking about. You know, people want to bring up the fact that, well, this Gohan used to be this guy. He's not anymore. Don't you get it? Gohan's not the guy we grew up watching, okay? Gohan's not the guy we idolized when we were watching the show, or when we grew up to want to be after Goku and Vegeta. He's not that guy anymore. He's not the guy that says suck it with Naruto anymore back in the days of the old ACW. He's not that guy anymore. People need to understand this fact. Gohan is a sadistic son of a bitch. He just is. And I don't even care why at this point. I don't care how. He just is right now. You toss a human being into a car, lock him in, and you get a monster truck to drive over him while he's still in the goddamn car. There is no excuse for that. At all. None whatsoever. Gohan is a sadistic, evil psychopath that needs to be taken down. Because I was there at the local hospital this week. And let me just give my special thanks to my good friend Raymond Dudley for taking over the commentary duties for the rest of the show while I had to leave the building and just go to the local hospital and check on Ryu. So I want to thank Raymond for that. He did a good job. Make sure you follow him on YouTube, and make sure you just give him some shout-outs as well. But I was there, okay? I was there at the hospital, the local hospital here, alright? Alright, I was there in Minneapolis. And I saw Ryu's body. And if you saw what I saw, you would understand the frustration, the anger, and the shock of a human being looking the way Ryu did after what transpired to him this week. Say what you want about Ryu and his career here in ACW or in CAW or his career in anime or video games, whatever. You may like him, you may hate him. That is your business. But don't tell me a guy like Ryu, who is just a human being, really, deserves something like that. That is absolutely asinine. You understand me? So clearly Ryu now has been taken out of Team ACW. There is no way, and especially after what I saw with my own two eyes, there is no way Ryu can be able to compete at Fusion for Team ACW in that 6-man elimination match. There's no way at this point. But what happened as I watched ACW Impulse the next day to see what I missed, at the end of the show, when it looked like Team ACW was in a big combustion of trouble, with Jack and Zero teaming up against Trunks and Naruto being ganged up upon by Gohan and Frieza, all of a sudden Sagat, yes, Sagat of all people, came out and single-handedly just pwned the Jiraiya Sane Alliance, took out Gohan, took out Frieza, took out Samurai Jack, took out Zero, all by himself. Sagat, of all people. A man that fights for himself. Where the hell did this come from? And then as Raymond Dudley told you guys, right about the end of the broadcast, it seems like Sagat is now the third man, the Ryu's replacement, ironically, of Team ACW. Now, there is no official statement from Goku about that as of right now. There really is nothing to be said officially coming from anywhere reliable, but it seems, it is implied, that Sagat is the third man for Team ACW heading into Fusion. And right now, we need someone like Sagat. Listen, again, like I told about Ryu, love him or hate him, and whatever you think about Sagat, Sagat single-handedly just took out the Jiraiya Sane Alliance this week. We desperately need somebody like that on our team. Damn the consequences, just damn everything that the differences maybe have between you and Sagat, or me and Sagat, or whatever. We need someone like Sagat right now, if that's the case. So, the 6-man elimination tag now for the control of ACW Impulse, and honestly for the battle of supremacy going on in ACW. Tenchi Masaki's team, the Jirai Sen Alliance, which will consist of Gohan, Samurai Jack, and Zero, will be in a 6-man elimination match against Team ACW, with Goku assembling the team of the Impulse Champion Trunks, Naruto Uzumaki, and now Sagat. This is going to be the most important, the most groundbreaking, the most earth-shattering mega event in ACW history. Period. Bar none. End of discussion. That is how important the stakes are with this match and this mega event coming up on June 5th at Madison Square Garden when ACW returns to New York. And I hope to God that ACW pulls out this victory, because I am just the things that we are seeing from the JSA leading up to Fusion. If they actually win this match at Fusion, I honestly don't even know. I am honestly scared what might happen. I'm just being completely honest. So, there you have that. And then the other big news before that whole thing that happened to Ryu and then the Sagat at the end, the other big news, the Jirai Sen Alliance has grown even bigger now, as the Straw Hat Crew came out earlier in the show and wanted answers from Lucas after Lucas, of all people, betrayed and backstabbed Ness last week in that Impulse Tag Team title match where the Straw Hat Crew retained, but in the Hall of Victory, and they'll tell you that before I will. And Lucas, after the match, continued to assault Ness. Ness wasn't even in the building tonight. Apparently, Lucas wasn't as well, because the Straw Hat Crew, as they were asking for Lucas to come out and explain his actions, Princess Ayeka coming out of nowhere and telling the Straw Hat Crew that they have something that the JSA wants, and obviously that is the Impulse Tag Team titles. But it can't be Jack and Zero, because they're going to be a part of the 6-man elimination tag. So who could it be? Well, who it was eventually that I could reference, and this shocked the hell out of me when I saw this live on Friday. When I just saw that on Friday. But man, Ike and Marth, Fire Emblem's Ike and Marth, are the newest members, are the men that have invaded and joined the JSA. Ike and Marth, of all people. And someone needs to explain to me, how the hell could this happen? How could you do this? How can Ike and Marth even fathom to join an alliance like that? For the nobility, the honor, the prestige, and the respect that Ike and Marth hold, not towards Fire Emblem fans, but to themselves. For them to align themselves with a cancer, with the biggest cancer going around in CAW that's not named the Blacklist or anything, but it's a pretty damn close measure up. For Ike and Marth to align themselves with the JSA makes absolutely no damn sense on the surface. And I assume we'll probably get some explanations about that next week on Impulse 57. I have no idea. But what I do know right now is, besides Sagat single-handedly doing what he had to do at the end of Impulse and taking out the JSA, ACW is in trouble, because this is getting scary. We are kind of disintegrating within. I have no idea the state of ACW right now. All we can do right now is just fight back. But if we can't win this match at Fusion, how is there going to be any left to fight? Is there going to be any fight left in us? I don't know, but make sure you join us on June 5th, Friday, June 5th, ACW Fusion, the biggest and most important mega event in Anime Championship Wrestling history. And yeah, I said it, because it's that true. But it's going to be a 3-hour mega event. You will only be able to see it on YouTube and VO. Make sure you join us at Madison Square Garden in New York City. The landscape of ACW and quite possibly the CAW world is going to change after ACW Fusion. So make sure you're there for that. So make sure you watch ACW Excel next week on Tuesday, and make sure you watch ACW Impulse on Friday next week as well. Now let me talk about Payback. Yeah, Payback. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it's Payback. WWE Payback. Yeah, I know, it's today. I got you, but do you honestly care? I mean, let's be honest. Do you honestly care about the current status here with the WWE's next special event, quote unquote, of Payback? I mean, you gotta answer that question because I really have no interest right now with Payback. And to be quite honest with you, I really have no interest in the WWE right now. The WWE right now, it just seems to me like the WWE is just treading water, that they're just doing enough to survive and have enough money to say that they are a minimal success for the next fiscal year. And they have the WWE network, so that way they don't have to put any more effort into their bigger events, because they sure as hell don't do it for Raw. But as is the case, just I'm trying to get any I'm trying to get any sense of hype for this special event, but I just don't have any because the WWE has not done a really good job in really forcing us to watch, you know. But I guess we'll just have to go through the matches, and I'll try to go through it quickly. And yes, this newscast is probably going to go long, but I don't care. You guys haven't gotten one in a recent while, so I might as well just do a long one. But let's talk about it. So, first of all, I'm going to... I don't know. I don't know if I want to go in order, but... Let's see. What match I want to talk about first? Yeah, let's get this out of the way here first. Alright. The New Day will take on Cesaro and Kid in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Boy, man. I feel so bad for Cesaro. Cesaro last year at WrestleMania 30 broke away from the Real Americans, won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. There you go. Say that 5 times fast. But anyways, he did all that, and the crowd was really behind him, as this could be the next breakout star for you. And then you align him with Paul Heyman, who is managing the guy that just broke the damn streak at WrestleMania 30 that night that Cesaro broke away from the Real Americans. So that way, Paul Heyman just pretty much undercut Cesaro's face momentum, forced him to be heel when the fans and the crowds wanted to cheer him, and then you did nothing with him to the point where you broke him away from Paul Heyman unceremoniously, and then he's just been floating around in purgatory until he found Tyson Kidd, and now Cesaro's back in another damn tag team. You get what I'm saying? I mean, kudos to Tyson Kidd. At least he's getting some shine lately. You know, that's compared to him last year, but it's not like the tag team division is the strongest it's ever been, or it's not like the tag team division is really something the WWE cares about. And speaking of it, you can tell because they have the New Day as champions. And I've said this before on Facebook, I've said it on Twitter, I've said it on Newscast, I've even made some slight mentions on ACW shows. I hate the New Day gimmick. Face or heel, it sucks. And not sucks as in the kayfabe way they're trying to make the New Day suck. It really, truly sucks. You have Xavier Woods, who is very charismatic. He can be really great in the ring. He is really intelligent when it comes to in and outside the wrestling business. You've got Big E. He's an agile big man, another charismatic figure, someone that you can market as one of the future stars of your company. Then you have Kofi Kingston, who has been around in a while, has been around in the WWE for a couple of years now, has won multiple titles, multiple tag team titles now even, and he's somebody that can really be good on the mic, and he's good on the ring. And what do you do with them? You give them a borderline, I'm going to say, a borderline stereotypical racist gimmick in the New Day. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, where's the racism in the New Day? And I understand that because you just won't get it. You just won't see it. But it is there. Because the WWE has no problem doing this to a lot of their black superstars. I mean, tell me, what WWE champion has ever been black? Don't say The Rock, because The Rock acknowledges his Samoan heritage more than he does his black heritage. He doesn't really count. So who else? Don't say Booker T and Mark Henry. They won the World Heavyweight Championship. The second tier belt. The belt that was in level of the IC title back in the days. It wasn't the real world title. That was the WWE title. So when you really think about it, there really hasn't been a WWE champion that is black. So now you give them this gimmick where they're all shucking and jiving, clapping in joy, you know, being preachy, being all like these black pastors that you would see in church. I get what you're trying to do. Too bad it sucks, because no one's buying it. Everyone just sees this as a lame gimmick, and it's just another confirmation of how watered down the WWE has become in recent years, period. They don't know how to book characters, they don't know how to book storylines, they don't know how to build plot twists, they have no idea how to formulate even a match at this point, no, not necessarily a feud either. So, New Day's going to retain the titles because who the fuck gives a shit. And, next match here, Dolph Ziggler going one-on-one against Sheamus. Again, another match that I really don't care about. Sheamus comes back after WrestleMania 30. They turn him heel. It's kind of working, but not really. I will say this. I like Sheamus more as a heel way better than a face. So him turning heel was the right decision. It's just that he hasn't gotten any. He doesn't have a story. He doesn't have a story to accommodate the heel turn that he has made. He just doesn't. So, he's kind of just floundering around right now. And then Dolph Ziggler, you want to talk about purgatory. His nickname is Purgatory because Dolph Ziggler is somebody that he looks like he's going to reach a certain level and they just never capitalize. And maybe that's a good thing in a way, because I see a lot of people overrate Dolph Ziggler as a future WWE champion. Dolph Ziggler is a good wrestler, but he's not a good worker, and there's a difference. He can pull off a lot of great moves. He can do a lot of good flips. He can do a lot of great wrestling here and there technically, but he's not necessarily a good worker. I never found his found his way of constructing a match that impressive. As I saw somebody on Facebook post, if you've seen one Dolph Ziggler match, you've pretty much seen them all. Just they're modified here and there. So it's kind of the Ric Flair syndrome, because Ric Flair is guilty of that as well. If you've seen one Ric Flair match, you've probably seen them all, whether that was in his prime or whether in his later years. So, Dolph Ziggler is somebody that deserves better. I mean, Dolph Ziggler is somebody that you should, treat to a more higher standard, but not someone that you can really put as a WWE champion. I mean, come on, the current WWE champion right now you can't really buy, and I'll get to that in a minute. But, yeah, this matchup, Dolph Ziggler won the Kiss My Arse match, even though Sheamus ended up making Ziggler kiss his arse. So, I'm going to say... yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to say Sheamus, because they're not going to do anything with Dolph Ziggler, even if he wins. They're just going to keep him floating until he wins another damn IC title run, which is so beneath him at this point. But Sheamus is going to win. He's the Breakfast Club member. He's the golden boy, one of the golden boys of the WWE. He's always protected, so therefore he will win. Therefore he's going to win that match. That pretty much goes without saying. Next up, we got King Barrett, the 2015 King of the Ring winner, taking on Neville, the man that gravity forgot. Now, I'm actually looking forward to this match because with Bad News Barrett, Wade Barrett, King Barrett, whatever Barrett you want to call him any week, King Barrett, I felt was the right decision to give this gimmick, this King of the Ring win to, because it can really rejuvenate his character into something different. He's really working this King of the Ring gimmick very well, more better than any recent King of the Ring winners. So King Barrett being the King of the Ring winner, I have no problem with. It's better than Ziggler, it's better than Sheamus, and I didn't think Neville was ready for that kind of a spot yet. And speaking of Neville has been pretty impressive since after WrestleMania 31, since he debuted on the main roster. It's been very impressive. The problem that I do have with Neville, though, is that he's just a guy that wrestles. He really doesn't have any character development. He doesn't really have any character that you can relate to, that you can really kind of emotionally invest to. He's kind of just a guy that has a nickname that is the man that gravity forgot, and then just goes out and wrestles. That can kind of work for the wrestling purists, but there's nothing really there to connect the casual audience to. And I really do think Neville can be a big star if they treat it right, if they treat him right. But they gotta find a way to make Neville a relatable an emotionally invested character for the crowd to really get sink their teeth into. But Barrett and Neville, they've had some really great matches towards each other. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I assume King Barrett's going to win to keep the momentum going for this King of the Ring gimmick. But as long as Neville has a great showing, which I know he will, he really doesn't lose anything in losing to King Barrett. So King Barrett will win that matchup at Payback. And then let's get to this match quickly. It's Naomi and Tamina Snuka going against the Bella Twins. Oh my God! What a clusterfuck this whole story match has been. So let me get this straight. Let me just get this completely, perfectly straight, right? WrestleMania 31, AJ Lee and Paige against the Bella Twins. AJ and Paige win. The following week, AJ retires for reasons that people may or may not know. So then Paige is the de facto babyface of the Divas division, the centerpiece, if you will. Good. Okay. Fine. If you're going to make Paige be the one to defeat Nikki Bella for the Divas title, that's fine. It actually kind of makes sense in a way. But then Naomi is getting pushed for the next 2 weeks as the de facto babyface when it looked like Paige was being the one positioned to that spot. And then at the Raw in London, in the UK, Naomi, after you pushed her for like 2 weeks to be that babyface, doesn't win the Battle Royal to become the #1 contender for the Divas title. Paige wins it, and then Naomi, for some stupid-ass reason, turns heel, attacks Paige. Paige leaves because she has to do a movie. Typical WWE can't get the priorities right. And so then Naomi instead faces Nikki at Extreme Rules, with the process of Naomi still being heel and Nikki still being heel. And then after Extreme Rules, the Bellas turn face for no stupid reason either. For a stupid reason. And then now Naomi's the one that looks bad in the situation, now teaming up with Tamina. If you could have followed all of that, I applaud you. Because that made absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. So here's the deal. Let me just say this right now. Unless you watch Total Divas or are a Daniel Bryan and John Cena fan, nobody cares about the Bellas. Period. This company has tried so many times heel or face to push the Bellas as the top divas of the division. Nobody gives a shit. And they still don't give a shit. They really don't. They're just there in that position, obviously, because of the men they date, good or bad. That's the reason why it is the way it is. So, I guess they were smart in that regard. But here's the thing that baffles me. Paige is going to film a movie because the WWE is stupid, since she should be the de facto babyface of the division. Okay. Why would you turn Naomi heel? Because after Paige was leaving, Naomi was going to be the de facto babyface. Because AJ's gone, she retired. Paige left to do a movie. Natalya, nobody buys her really as a Divas contender for the title anymore. Emma has been pretty much prerogatory and irrelevant, and she's about to turn heel herself, if she hasn't already. Unless you were going to bring in Charlotte or Bayley or, whoever from the NXT roster, Naomi was the best babyface you had to go against the Bellas and possibly win the Divas title from them. So you turn her heel? So with the exception of Paige, who the hell else did you have? And then you had to be forced to turn the Bellas face because you realized that you made a stupid-ass mistake. So the whole Divas division right now is so horrible. Honestly, I think this Divas division is pretty god-awful. It is clear that the NXT Divas division is clearly surpassed and eclipsed the main roster division, main Divas division, period. People are wishing that Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Becky Lynch all get called up to the main roster to help the Divas division. But again, as long as the regime stays the same, it doesn't really matter. They're just going to be seen as a niche product. Now, granted, women's wrestling, unless you're a Shimmer or Shine fan, is really a niche product. It's a specific demographic that is catered to a certain specific audience in pro wrestling, especially mainstream wrestling. So I understand that. But damn it, man. Way to just undercut and completely no-sell the effort that the Divas put in. At least most of them. So, that whole diatribe. I would hope Naomi and Tamina win. Naomi, if you're going to turn Naomi heel, you got to at least capitalize on it. You got to make it look like her turning heel was justified, that it was the right thing to do, even though it wasn't. So Naomi and Tamina have to win this match. They have to win this match. And Naomi, when she does face Nikki for the title, has to win that title. But it's gonna probably be the Bellas that win the tag match, and that just proves that WWE are stupid, and they really just don't get it. They really don't. And then let's get to the kickoff match. I'll just go through this a little bit quickly. Curtis Axel or Axelmania, and let me see, Damien Sandow. Oh, I'm sorry, Macho Mandow. Man, that hurt my throat. Anyways, the Mega Powers 2.0, if you will be taking on the Ascension. First of all, man, how the mighty have fallen with the Ascension. One of the premier tag teams in NXT, and then you bring them up this year, and you just reduce them to nothing. You've got stupid ass commentators burying them during commentary, so that doesn't help at all. God, that commentary sucks. And then you have old legends that shouldn't even really be in the ring continue to bury the Ascension. And now we haven't even seen the Lucha Dragons. Where the hell are the Lucha Dragons, by the way? Where the hell have they been? And then now the Ascension have been reduced down into a kind of a fodder act for the Mega Powers 2.0 to go over. So the Mega Powers 2.0 is going to go over. I do find it funny though that this does look like a cosplay version of Hogan and Macho Man versus the Legion of Doom. It's pretty funny, but nonetheless, the way they just ruined the Ascension is just kind of sad, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're released, or at least just regulated down even further in the card for the next year or two. By the way, I do love the Mega Powers 2.0 thing. I marked out when I saw that. The whole Mega Powers handshake. I've been in the danger zone, snapping to a Slim Jim. Is that rise to the cream of the crop? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the digging of the works. Well, let me tell you something, brother. Axelmania's running wild. The Macho Man Dow's running wild. The Mega Powers are going to go to Payback. And we're going to beat the Ascension. And then we're going to go on and become the WWE Tag Team Champions of the world. Because what you going to do when the Macho Man's down, dude, and me, brother Axelmania, run wild on you? Come on, that wasn't that bad. Come on, give me credit a little bit. That wasn't that bad, okay? I don't want to hear you guys make fun of me, alright? But yes, I do expect, man, that hurt my throat again. I will expect, Macho Mandow and Axelmania to go over. Next up, Ryback versus Bray Wyatt. This makes no sense in a way. It's kind of pointless, because with two people that you want to raise, two people that you want to build up once again after you screwed them over. It's kind of funny. These were two promising talents that you could have made money off of and become big stars right now for your company, and they've been screwed over. and ironically, they both involve John Cena. I mean, look at Ryback. I was there in Sacramento when they came to the live Raw show in 2012. You know, the one where CM Punk just kind of backhanded that fan, which was funny. But I was there. Ryback was super over. He was the most over talent, the most over guy in 2012. There you go. Got mixed up. He was the most over guy in that period when he was started to rise up the ranks. I was there. The Feed Me More chants were thunderous. He was the most over guy in that company. Period. And they screwed him over. He loses to CM Punk. He loses to the Shield. He turns heel for no stupid reason. And then he loses to Mark Henry at WrestleMania 29. Then he turns heel. Then John Cena, the John Cena monster, takes another victim, and Ryback hasn't been the same since. They're trying to build him up, but it makes no sense if you're trying to make him feud with another guy that you need to rebuild in Bray Wyatt. The Bray Wyatt that in 2014 last year was the second hottest act behind Daniel Bryan in terms of the live audience and in terms of the viewing audience as well, watching TV or wherever. So much promise, getting over, he was so unique, so different, so you make him lose to John Cena at WrestleMania 30 when Bray Wyatt needed that victory more than John Cena did. John Cena never needed the win, Bray Wyatt needed the win. Then if you wanted Cena to end the feud and win it at Extreme Rules and then Payback, that's fine. But to make that career-making moment, that career star-making moment for a guy like Bray Wyatt, he had to win at WrestleMania 30. Obviously, John Cena, being the master politician like so many top guys in the WWE, forced his hand. He went over. That way, Bray Wyatt, his whole character, his momentum came to a complete halt, a complete stop. After the whole feud, Bray Wyatt has been pretty much swimming in purgatory, swimming in nothing, saying all these great promos that he still delivers to this day, but they mean absolutely nothing if he has no story. It means absolutely nothing if you're not going to capitalize on the momentum and the uniqueness that Bray Wyatt brings into your product. And after that, you have him get built strong again earlier this year, only for him to be fed. Only the reason why you built him strong, just so he can be fed to The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31, a year too late for that match. And now Bray Wyatt, after going through all that, is going to feud with Ryback. These two that need to be rebuilt after you screwed them over should not be feuding with each other. They should be feuding with other people that they can get victories over and upon. But no, the WWE, because they really don't care about how they want to give a compelling quality program every single week. No, they just want to do some mediocre stuff and just do just enough to shut the casual audience up and to throw a bone to the very naive, quote-unquote, smarks, even though they're really the biggest smarks on earth besides the people in the business. But nonetheless, this may be a good match, but again, it's not going to mean anything. This whole feud really doesn't mean anything. There is really no end game here. But out of the two that need the win the most, Bray Wyatt needs that win. He's lost 2 WrestleManias ever since debuting on the main roster. He needs something to bounce back. I think Bray Wyatt needs to win more than Ryback, because you're not going to really do anything with Ryback at this point. You've now got Roman Reigns, you've got Seth Rollins, you've got still John Cena and Randy Orton. You're not going to really invest in Ryback like you need to invest in Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt needs to win that match at Payback. And then we get to the 2 matches that I guess are the money matches, the main events, the big ones. So let's get to it. John Cena, the United States Champion, will be taking on Rusev for the 3rd time this year at a pay-per-view for the United States title, obviously, in an I Quit match. As soon as that I Quit stipulation was announced, you damn well knew who was winning that match, and you damn well knew how it was going to happen. I've always defended Rusev, and I'm still defending him to this day, because I think, in my honest opinion, Rusev has been one of the better mid-card champions when he was the United States champion. He was one of the better mid-card champions that company has had in quite some time. He really made people buy into the fact that he was a dominant brute that came in to trample everything that you knew about America. It was really working. Now, most of that might have been helped with Lana as well, but Rusev gets a lot of credit as well. He's a really good talent, a great exceptional talent from Knox Pro, obviously, from the West Coast here in San Fran, in LA. But the fact is, Rusev is a great talent, an exceptional talent, and for him to just be fed to the John Cena monster is just a damn shame. It's a damn shame because Rusev, I knew as soon as Rusev was going to face John Cena at Fastlane that John Cena was going to win, that they were going to make Rusev beat John Cena in a stupid, chicken shit, excuse-riddled type of finish. That way John Cena can just beat him clean at WrestleMania 31, which he did, and then he won the U.S. title because he can, because it's John Cena. So then we had we had all this other stuff going on with the Russian chain match, and then now we've got an I Quit match. So now there are reports that they're going to be turning Lana face, which I disagree with, because just because the audience are cheering for her doesn't mean you have to necessarily turn her face. That just means you have to do better at making her a more despicable heel. Now, granted, Lana's looking fine, don't get me wrong or nothing, but the reason why Lana is the way she is, the reason why people like Lana is because of her accent. Well, because she looks great in a suit, but first of all, she's got a pretty face, she's got the accent, and she's such around a uprising young star in Rusev. But now I'm hearing reports that they're going to make Lana turn face and then strip her, anyways. but also just take away everything that made her Lana. That means take away her name, take away her accent. She's going to say that she faked the whole thing because she was forced to, and that she's actually an American. That is gonna suck so hard. And watch what happens when you do that. The fans will stop. The fans will stop caring. Because you just had to take something so organic. You had to take something so genuine and natural and just manufacture. You just had to add your artificial flavors and bullshit, and now it's just a steaming pile of crap. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, John Cena doesn't say I quit. When's the last time you heard John Cena say I quit in a match? It doesn't happen, and it's not going to happen now. John Cena will retain the United States title against Rusev, and Rusev hopefully can bounce back, but you know, people said the same thing about Ryback, people said the same thing about Bray Wyatt, people said the same thing about Wade Barrett and the Nexus, and it just never materialized. And history is not on Rusev's favor here. It's not on his side. So, unfortunately, John Cena is going to win that match and retain the title. So, there you go. And then the main event of Payback. Fatal 4-way match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Seth Rollins, will be defended against Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. Now, I, like many people, marked out when Seth Rollins cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase and became WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I marked out. I watched it live with a couple of my friends at a bar that we were watching WrestleMania 31. And I marked out because I was like, man, I wasn't the biggest Tyler Black fan. I think when Tyler Black was the ROH champion was when I stopped being a regular ROH fan, because I'm like, this is not the ROH I grew up watching. This kind of sucks in a way. So I wasn't really the biggest Tyler Black fan back then. And when he was with the Shield, I thought he was kind of the weakest link in a way. The weakest link compared to Reigns and Ambrose. People will say Reigns, but I just have my different opinions. I just thought Rollins. I thought Rollins would fall on the wayside when the Shield broke up. That's just my opinion. But obviously it didn't happen. So, you know, I marked out because I'm like, man, Seth Rollins is now the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. As long as they can give him a good title reign, this could actually work. And it didn't happen. I'm sorry, folks. I really tried. I really was trying to be open-minded about what they were doing with Rollins in the early portion of his title reign so far, but now it's getting fucking ridiculous. They have made Seth Rollins look like such a pussy. In a line of champions lately that were WWE World Heavyweight Champions or WWE Champions, period, the likes of John Cena and Brock Lesnar, The Rock, CM Punk, even Daniel Bryan to an extent. And now Seth Rollins holds that title, and it just doesn't feel like he's a world champion, if it makes sense. It feels like he's a mid-card Intercontinental Champion right now, holding that title. I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel. You know, I watch Seth Rollins. He's a great wrestler. He's even developed into a good worker, in my opinion. He's improved in his mic work. He's really trying to invest in this slimy character that he is. But leave it to WWE creative to just undercut this man's reign and his character by the knees. At least with Edge, yeah, he was a chicken shit when he was winning the WWE title and becoming multiple world champion. But he didn't always have to have help to win and retain his titles. He would do it clean at times, as a heel even. Seth Rollins, it seems like Seth Rollins just can't seem to win a match without interference or some type of lame bullshit. And if you're the World Heavyweight Champion of the top company in the world, that is bad. It's bad enough people were probably not buying the fact that Seth Rollins would be the champion after a Brock Lesnar reign, but now you're really making it obvious. When you're having Kane being more developed as a character than your WWE World Heavyweight Champion, that is a problem. They have done nothing to make Seth Rollins a compelling character. He's not that over as much people as people think he is. At least in the live crowd, he gets like some scattering boos here and there and heel heat there, but it's not consistent. And it's because people aren't buying Seth Rollins as champion. I'm sorry, they really are not. They know that whenever you see a Seth Rollins title match, J&J Security or Kane or the Authority or whoever is going to have Seth Rollins be able to retain the title. Honestly, I think Seth Rollins, I think they just had to make him cash in that briefcase at WrestleMania 31 now looking back, because they couldn't have Brock Lesnar retain the title because because that would pretty much have made that main event pointless. And then they couldn't have Roman Reigns win that title because the backlash he got during this road to WrestleMania was just going to be even worse for his career down the road. There was no way they could have given that title to him that night. So they had to call the audible. They had to make a decision. They had to have Rollins win it. But honestly, it's not because they wanted Seth Rollins as champion. It's just because they were forced. Their hands were forced into making that decision. And honestly, Seth Rollins is looking like a placeholder for either Roman Reigns or returning Brock Lesnar to win the title at SummerSlam. That is what it's looking like to me. And the only reason why he's being protected, his spot's going to be secured either way. But the reason why he's being really protected in that spot is because he's a Triple H guy, if you will. So he's going to get his spot. But I'm just not impressed with this title reign. I'm just not interested in this title reign. I honestly even wouldn't be mad if we have a new champion at this point, because that is kind of how uninteresting that I have been with Seth Rollins as a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. But you've got Randy Orton, who's always a main event contender because he's another Breakfast Club member, and you just have to have Randy Orton do something. Roman Reigns, because he's going to be the next big guy of the WWE after Cena, whether you people like it or not, it's going to happen. All you did at WrestleMania 31, all the WWE did at WrestleMania 31 was delay the inevitable. It's going to happen. So just accept it or stop watching. But anyways, Roman Reigns is in that match. And then Dean Ambrose was added late. It was a late addition into this match, which was originally a triple threat down to Fatal 4-Way. People are excited that, oh man, Dean Ambrose is in a, WWE title match. Maybe he's going to win the WWE title. Yeah, no. Dean Ambrose is only in that match to take the pin. He's only there in that match to do the job, okay? Because there's no way Orton's going to lie down. There's no way they're going to have Orton lay down for a 3 count. There's no way they're going to have Reigns lay down for a 3 count. That's why Ambrose is in the match. He's there to do the job. Period. So, with that said, Seth Rollins is going to retain the title because I see no reason to drop the title at this point. People are kind of speculating that we might see a Shield reunion, and I was kind of thinking that as well. You might as well because, right now, what is all 3 of them right now? All 3 of them right now, what are you doing? So, if it happened, I wouldn't really bitch about it, but at the end of the day, Seth Rollins is going to retain the title. You might as well. You already invested in him. You might as well keep the train going at least until SummerSlam, at the least. And Dean Ambrose will be taking the pin, so mark my words there. And Seth Rollins, he'll win the title. He'll retain the title by some sort of J&J/Kane combination interference. And then I'm sure at the next pay-per-view, Seth Rollins is going to face a babyface Kane who turns back into a monster, and we're supposed to give a shit for the 1,500th time, but we don't. So, good job, WWE. Good job. You've made Seth Rollins another chicken shit heel by your WWE standards where people just don't give a damn. Good job. So, that is Payback. Yeah. Not a good card. Not a really interesting pay-per-view. And that's one thing that I've been worried about with the WWE Network. Now that the WWE Network is a real thing now that it exists, the WWE have no incentive. They have no incentive of putting on a stellar pay-per-view quality match every month. Because back then, during the pay-per-view model back then, they had no choice but to do that in order to get your money. So you, the customer, can pay for that pay-per-view. But now with the WWE Network, now that they're guaranteed you subscribing to them for $9.99 for at least 6 months, they know that they have you on that contract. And they don't have to put the effort into these special events or pay-per-views now. They just do it. They pretty much are just 3-hour Raws now at this point. That's really what they are. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron because now Raw is 3 hours. So if you really think about it, it's now that Raw is 3 hours and the pay-per-views are still 3 hours, what's the difference at this point? What is the actual difference between Raws and pay-per-views at this point now with the WWE Network becoming a real thing? Say, it's an honest question if you really think about it. So yeah, I'm not interested in Payback. I may watch it just to kind of be curious, but if I don't watch it, I'm not going to trip. If I have work tomorrow, then, or if I have work later today, if I'm called in or whatever, then I don't care. So, Yeah, do better, WWE, man. Just the whole wrestling business right now is just kind of in a downward spiral. And I'm not trying to say it's on levels of 1993 or levels of 1995 or levels of 2006 or 7 or 2010, but it's pretty bad right now from all spectrums, from all across the board here in the wrestling business. Sorry. So there's your payback predictions that I gave you guys there. Now we will get to your questions and comments that you guys have been so patiently waiting for with bated breath. So, let me just pull out my handy dandy notebook. I'm sorry, handy dandy phone here, Android. And let me see which questions I'm going to answer. This is going to be a long newscast. I already know it's a long newscast. And, you guys posted a lot of questions, but I'm going to answer every single one. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to do that kind of stuff. Okay? Alright. Whew! Okay. Gary Connell Jr. He asked me several questions here. It's been a while, so here we go. Question number 1. What are your expectations of E3? I'm kind of looking forward to it, although with this whole thing going around with Gamergate, I assume that E3 is going to be the kind of big talking point as it relates to that situation. E3, I'm looking forward to certain games that are going to be called up. Assassin's Creed is I want to see more about Assassin's Creed, the new one coming out. I think it's Syndicate. Hopefully on the Nintendo side I can get some news on a new Star Fox game, on an F-Zero game coming out. And I know people are saying it's too early for a Bayonetta game, but I don't care. Bayonetta 3 needs to be at least announced or something. Hopefully we can also get some news on Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. So a lot of things that I'm looking forward to and I'm interested in. I'm going to see how E3 is, and I may have and you know how ACW last year kind of was a part of quote unquote E3 during that whole expo last year? Well, might as well break the news. I was going to just kind of announce this next week, but I might as well break it now. ACW will be involved with E3 once again this year, and we will be there for now 2 nights, not just 1 night like last year. We're going to be there for 2 nights, so stay tuned for more of that when the information comes available. But yeah, I'm looking kind of forward to E3. We'll see how it goes there, and I might even rate the in terms of who won E3, quote unquote. I might even let you know who did that. So, question number 2: are you interested in the new Teen Titans show that's coming to TNT soon? A little bit. I am. A little bit. I am. I assume that they're going to be more true to the comic material than they were with the TV show, but I'm kind of interested in it. I do need to say this though. People are always harshly criticizing Teen Titans Go on Cartoon Network. People are always giving it shit. I'm going to be the one to say it right now. I think that show's funny. I think it's a funny show. I don't care what anyone says. If people can stop comparing Teen Titans Go to the original Teen Titans cartoon, on Cartoon Network obviously, then obviously it's not going to measure up to your high standards from that original show. But if you just look at Teen Titans Go from a standalone prospect, it's a pretty good show, man. It's not that harmful. Like, people need to just kind of take off their nostalgia glasses and just kind of look at it for what it is. It's a pretty funny show. But anyways, yes, I am looking forward to the Teen Titans show on TNT. I will be checking that out pretty soon. Let's see. Question number 3. Okay, here's the big question. What are your initial thoughts on the Baltimore riots that happened months ago? And then Joshua Howe also asked me, do you agree or disagree with me about the points I made on the state of the mainstream wrestling in the Baltimore riots? And he paraphrased it and I read it, so yeah. I told you guys last time that when I was going to do a newscast that I was going to talk in depth about the Baltimore riots, but now apparently that the riots have kind of calmed down a lot ever since I made that announcement. I didn't feel a need to really have to do that in a detailed process like I did with Ferguson, but I'm not going to give you guys a long diatribe of what I think. I'm just going to give you guys the kind of basic bullet points, if you will. Here's the thing. I'm not surprised by the whole situation. I'm not surprised at all with the whole situation with Walter Scott. People just want to say that racism is over in this country and that racism is starting to become a thing of the past, when that is the most ignorant thing I could ever hear. Because if you want me to be honest with you, racism is as big of an American pastime as is baseball. Period. So that's a ridiculous claim to make, but the details don't make sense. Obviously, I guess people said that he had a criminal record, which is, although interesting, it doesn't really matter at this whole with this whole situation. The fact of the matter is that he was somehow roughed up. His spine was broken, his neck was smashed, and he was beaten up. I don't even care if you self-inflict that. Even if you try to self-inflict that, you can never be able to do that on a moving car like that while yourself is tied. There's just no way. So something happened during those stops for him to just completely be unresponsive to those beatings. And the reason why people rioted after that, they heard that the 6 police officers were not arrested at that point, was because they know how the story is going to end. Now, granted, the justice system is not perfect. It is very flawed. It is very biased to certain people. And if you're trying to say otherwise, you're ridiculous. But it is the justice system. People need to let the justice system, until people can tell me a better one, need to let it do its due process. So there you go. Now, in terms of the riots, I am not going to excuse the random acts of violence that some of the people caused there, because that's ridiculous. When you have innocent bystanders having to be afraid that these outside agitators, and I'm not trying to be like saying that as if I'm from Fox News or anything like that, or from the media here today, but I'm saying it as in terms of most of the people that were in those protests were there for their own reasons. But you can clearly tell some of them weren't there for Walter Scott. They didn't give a shit about him. They didn't give a shit about his death. They didn't give a shit about the protests. They didn't give a shit about what it meant. They only went there as opportunity. As a quote has been so famously been said, when there's chaos, there is always an opportunity. And that's exactly what some of those people there were doing. They were there to just get themselves some free TVs and just try to make a ruckus without knowing why. So for them, they can go fuck themselves, because they were just there for their own purpose, and it wasn't even a good one. But I do have to call out some people that are trying to use code words like thugs and criminals as this code word. And I'm not going to say the N-word. I'm not going to say... I have no problem saying the N-word to people, as long as it's the context. So I'm not going to say it here. But don't act like the code word thugs, as MVP said last week on Impact as well, which was very brilliant. That promo was awesome, by the way. But thugs has been used as a very slight, subtle code name for the N-word, and we can sniff that bullshit out pretty quickly. And the reason why people got mad is because we figured it out. Although I figured this shit out years ago, but whatever. But I'm not going to apologize for people that are upset about the situation. I'm not going to apologize for people that are rightfully so angry and upset about the situation. Unless, and I hate to really be one of these social justice warriors out here, because I cannot stand those sorry pieces of shit for the life of me. You know, the privilege, and I'm going to kind of be racial here a little bit, for the most part, the privileged, middle class, white, people that want to be so oppressed. They swear on their lives. They just want to be so oppressed that they want to act like they are a part of the struggle, when they are just there to be a part of a group that they have no care or understanding for. Those people I cannot stand for the life of me. And I saw them during the Baltimore protest. I was like, man, these people just like to infiltrate on anything they want to do. Because you can tell. Because when the whole chant was Black Lives Matter, they tried switching it to All Lives Matter. They're no different than any Christian fundamentalists out there on the right. The social justice warriors on the left are the same as the Tea Partiers on the right. Don't get it confused. But As a black man, as a young, big black man, I have to always look over my shoulder when I'm driving. Okay, I have to always look over, even when I'm not doing anything wrong. I still have to do it because it's just a simple fact that when my parents taught me that when the police stop you and pull you over, put your hands on both of the wheels, look at them directly towards their eyes, and only say yes or no. I was taught that. I know many people like me were taught that during their age. Now, granted, this whole police brutality thing is not a race. It's raised the racial aspect of it is not the only thing. Okay, it's also an authoritarian issue. It's a governmental issue. It's a social economical issue. So the race issue is not the only thing, but it's one of the major factors in this case, especially. Um, so the people that are protesting but really don't care for the protest, that they just want to have their 15 minutes of fame, they can go all screw themselves over because they're really just kind of being the detriment to this whole process and this whole protest. However, the same needs to be applied to these cops that want to play cowboys and Indians every time they see a victim that they can just push over because they wear a badge, a gun, and a baton. Those people need to be talked to. They either need to be trained better, they need to be processed better through the background checking, or they just need to be hired at all. They probably need to be fired. Because let's not act like the police don't have their own code of conduct within their brotherhood, quote unquote. All right? Doesn't matter what race you are. Police protect police and the government. They're not really there to protect the people like they're supposed to, like they were intended to do. Okay? So if I'm gonna hear people talk about how these quote unquote thugs are trying to destroy stuff and try to make the conversation worse, then people need to talk to the cops as well that are looking to have their 15 minutes of fame, push around people because they have a badge and they can get away with it, and try to use the militarization of police in this country and make it the new normal. That is scary. If you're not scared about the normalization, the militarization of police throughout this country, you saw it in the whole Boston bombing thing that happened, okay? And how the whole city of Boston was locked down, where it looked like a military force just ran through the entire streets. You saw it in Ferguson. You've seen it now in Baltimore. And let me tell you something right now. All these protests that you saw in Sanford, Florida when Trayvon got shot, or in Ferguson, Missouri when Mike Brown got shot, and now with Walter Scott in Baltimore, Maryland, Eric Gardner in New York, this is going to be the new norm. And that gets me to another topic that I will not go through here. But that is going to be the new norm of this country. And unfortunately, it's going to look like the militarization of police is going to be a part of that as well. So, anyways, that's kind of my whole thoughts of the whole Baltimore riots thing. Yeah, very complex. A lot of mixed emotions there. Okay, and last question. Have you checked out the trailer for the new Assassin's Creed game titled Assassin's Creed Syndicate? Yes, I did. Looking forward to it. Although I gotta say, I'm kind of lacking on my Assassin's Creed game here, my swag game when it comes to Assassin's Creed. The last one I bought was Assassin's Creed 3. Granted, I love that game. I think Connor is my favorite assassin out of everybody in that series so far that I played. That includes Alvitar. That includes Enzo. Sorry, I think Connor. I love Connor the best in my opinion. Period. And again, I just love beating the British Templars up whenever I'm bored. Whenever I'm bored, I just pop on Assassin's Creed 3 and just beat up British Templars. It's pretty fun. Take over their castles or whatever, and just do missions and stuff like that. Although I do hate the anyway, I'll get into that right now. But yeah, I haven't bought anything ever since. I haven't gotten Black Flag. I haven't gotten the Black Flag edition of Assassin's Creed. But I think the reason why I didn't get that lately, the reason why I didn't get that because I haven't had the time to get it, but also because on Assassin's Creed 3 they had the side missions when you had to go out on sea and collect stuff and shoot down boats. I hated that part of Assassin's Creed 3. I thought it was very slow. I thought it slowed down the whole process of the story. The controls were kind of difficult to understand and really configure. And it was just kind of unappealing to me in an honest way. And I thought Black Sail or Black Flag, whatever, was going to be kind of a more extended version of that. But I'll eventually get that, and I'll eventually get Syndicate. So I'm looking forward to that game. Damn, we got a lot of questions here. Garak Weevil from BattleX. Make sure you guys check out BattleX. Sent me, what are your honest thoughts about BattleX GoldenEye, especially Raycon winning the X Division Championship? Now, I'm not going to review the whole show. I'm just going to give you my thoughts about it. Raycon won the X Division title. As an ACW fan, myself, obviously, I marked out when I saw my White Tiger wrestler, Raycon, win the X Division title. So, good on Raycon. Now, in terms of the show, and maybe the league in general, there was some good and bad when it comes to Battle X. I will say this. I'm glad to see you have a very unique mixture of talent on your roster, because that's what I did. Because that's what I did back when I started out with ACW. Back in 2006, 2007, I mixed a variety of characters from all spectrums of anime and video games and put them into my roster. So it makes me kind of happy that I see that within Battle X. It's something that I kind of adore in a way, because it takes me back to when I did it, when I was first started out with CAW. Another thing that I do like, I like the fact that Battle X, when you say it's an indie colleague, it actually does feel like an indie colleague, actually. Now, I don't know if that's because of the wrestlers or the matches that you do, but it really does feel like an indie colleague. It doesn't strive to be like one of the top leagues like ACW or SCAW or CCL or WEDF or whatever, but it knows its place, it knows its niche, and doesn't try to change the formula that it wants it to work. So I like that kind of originality that you display onto it. And the matches that I saw at GoldenEye were pretty good. They were pretty decent to good from what I saw. I thought it was your best effort. Honestly, I thought it was your best mega event so far in Battle X. I thought it was your best effort yet. But there are also some things that I need to take issue with and criticize. First of all, you need to work on your commentary. Now, granted, I'm probably not the guy to really give you this advice. I am not the greatest commentator of all time, obviously. I don't say that I am. I don't perceive myself as that. But I know I'm not one of the worst either. I know I'm not really that bad. When I was listening to the show, it felt like it was very monotonous. It was very repetitive. It was very robotic in a lot of ways. Like, sometimes the voice of your commentary did not match the mood of the match or the show itself. So you need to know how to emote better. Even if you have to fake it, you need to know how to emote better to make sure that the match that you are trying to display and the segments and the pacing that you're trying to show matches with what you're trying to tell us. Because you are the storyteller. You know? You are the complementary storyteller to what the wrestlers in the ring are trying to tell with their story. So you have to be in sync. You have to match up with what they're trying to tell. So you need to really work on your commentary on that aspect. So work on that. Also, another problem, the pacing of the show. The pacing of the show was another kind of issue. It felt kind of plotting at times. Like, for example, the first match with the six Battle X women in that Hell in a Cell match. After the match, you had and trust me if I forget the name, I'm sorry, but I think it was the Kid, right? I believe, right? But however you want it, the winner of that match proceeded to keep beating all these other ladies in not even quick matches, but in like 2 to 3 minute matches. If you're gonna do an angle or a segment after that match, you should have just had her destroy this one chick, then destroy this one chick, then destroy this one chick, and then leave. There's no reason for you to have to do this hardcore 24/7 bullshit and just continue to drag on her victory, because when you do that, this big victory that she had is now starting to devalue, because now you're wasting time. Now you're giving the fans too much than what they need to have. Save that for another show. Save that for the next show that you do. You don't have to necessarily do all that. You don't have to blow your load so quickly. You don't have to put all your eggs in the basket so fast. So you need to pace your show as well. Also, positioning of the card. Now, granted, I know CAW is not pro wrestling. It's not as real as pro wrestling. But you have to make the effort to try to make it realistic. So when I see you open with a Hell in a Cell match, again, you're blowing your load. You are putting all your eggs in the basket too quickly. And especially then you have a Hell in a Cell match, and afterwards you have a hardcore triple threat match. It's going to burn out some of the viewers watching your show. You have to be able to position certain matches in the card, so that way it's like a roller coaster. It's like a roller coaster. You might want to start off hot for the first show, and then you put on a couple of matches that are like a parabola. They cool down, and they go back up. They cool down, and they go back up. Then you get to the main event, which is the ultimate climax, the crescendo of the entire mega event that you were trying to perceive. So, also need to work on that. So, those are my thoughts. Battle X has a lot of potential. You know, I've always said that. Battle X has had a lot of potential. But at the same time, it needs to work. It has a lot of work to do. It has a lot of work in terms of what a colleague needs to be. It's great that you can have wrestling. You know, people like to do all these, 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute matches on their regular shows. Not even on their mega events, on their regular shows every week. And I find that ridiculous because, again, you're trying to keep the viewers attentive. With me, I don't bother doing that because I know better. So you might get like a 15 or 20-minute match here and there once in a while on Excel and Impulse, but I don't make that the norm. What you see on Excel and Impulse is what you see on Excel and Impulse in terms of what a Raw would be for WWE, or what a TNA or Impact Wrestling would be for TNA. The mega events are there to then establish the story. Excel and Impulse are the build-ups to the story. And people don't really understand that in colleagues. People don't understand show psychology when it comes to that. Because then people will say, well, what's the difference between this mega event and then this show that you just gave me? There is none. So, you have to make the distinct difference on that issue. But otherwise, again, like I said, GoldenEye was your best effort yet. For the most part, I enjoyed the match that I saw. I like the Angel stable, by the way. Pretty cool. As a Pokemon fan, obviously. So, starting to become a big fan of Tarble, by the way. And Raycon winning the X Division title was pretty sweet. So, again, if you guys haven't checked out Battle X GoldenEye, make sure you guys search it on YouTube and find out. Or you can guys follow the Battle X page on Facebook and find out. But overall, a pretty decent show with a couple of problems here and there. So, hope you got your type of advice you were looking for, and hopefully you can improve on it. That way I can be like, you know what, I remember when that show was right there. Now it's one of the best colleagues out there, in my opinion. It is very possible, trust me. I should know. Because, man, my 2006 to 2009 stuff was pretty dated now. And people always want to say, like, my old school ACW stuff was pretty cool. Compared to the stuff that I do now, I don't think so. I think ACW from 2011 to right now is clearly way superior right now than back in the days. That's just my opinion. That really is, to me it is. But anyways, alright. See, Joshua Howell asks me, do you agree or disagree with me about the points I made on the state of mainstream wrestling in Baltimore riots? I already discussed the Baltimore riots. In terms of the mainstream wrestling, he posted, WWE and TNA are trying to be independent promotions with mainstream budgets, and they are going to lose fans for it. They should have went with the concept that made them big instead of copying the small indie companies. I can agree to a certain extent. Listen, I like NXT. I like Lucha Underground. TNA I like as well. Although people are going to shit on it because it's TNA with a deserved reputation. But lately TNA has been on a roll. Way better than WWE in my opinion. Period. But there's a reason why those promotions are indie. Well, not NXT really, but there's a reason why certain promotions are independent promotions and certain promotions are mainstream or top level. It is good to get ideas and maybe get roster talents from there, but that doesn't mean you have to make your promotion an independent promotion. Just because quote unquote smart marks are more in tune with the independent promotions doesn't mean you have to cater them to the point where you look like a independent promotion yourself. Like NXT is like a more well-budgeted version of ROH. I think people will kind of I think people will agree with that. Because although NXT is a great show, still, I know it's developmental. I know it's like a developmental brand, even though NXT is starting to kind of phase away from the developmental brand and become its own third brand, mainstream third brand. But yeah, I kind of agree. I think the likes of WWE and TNA, and even like in international places like AAA and New Japan, they need to focus on what works for them. That makes them realize why they are the big time promotions. Yes, maybe to a lesser extent to TNA and AAA, but you get what I'm saying when I'm talking about that though. So I kind of have to agree with that notion. Let's see. Franklin Zamora asked me. I hate when I say ask because I try not to say that dreaded word when I have to say ask. Damn. All right. All right. Franklin asked me any hints at what ACW talent may debut next. I don't know, man. I guess you'll have to find out in the coming weeks of ACW programming, huh? Come on, man. I can't really spoil it. Come on, man. Nice try, though. But John Blackos asked me. Let's see here. What is the worst storyline you ever did? Worst storyline that I ever did. I've never been asked that question. That's interesting. Worst storyline I ever did. I think one of them was when I introduced the Impulse Tag Team titles, and I was doing an angle when it was Fire and Ice. It was gonna be a match between the Fire and Ice team of Frieza and Firen from the Little Fighters game. The White Tigers, obviously, Ray and Raichao, Raycon and Raichao, and the Straw Hat Crew, Monkey D. Luffy and Roland Zora. I think the angle leading up to that was that the Impulse Tag Team titles were stolen, and we may not even have an Impulse Tag Team title match at High Voltage in 2007. And then afterwards, we found out that it was Fire and Ice that stole the titles, even though they aren't the champions. It was to crown the inaugural champions, which the Straw Hat Crew eventually became. Yeah, so not one of my best ideas, not one of my best angles that I can say I'm proud of per se. I don't think I was really proud of that. And honestly, another storyline that I kind of did not like, and it's gonna probably surprise some of you people, but I think another storyline that I just did not like was the storyline between Aang and Sokka leading up to their match at Animania, the first one. Now that I'm thinking back at it. Because going back to the old days of ACW, I almost said WCW there, but going back to the golden era, quote unquote, the prime era of ACW, I had brought Sokka in to kind of manage Aang, and then Sokka turned heel on Aang at the Royal Rumble, I believe, in 2007, and that would have led to their 3 Stages of Hell match at Animania. Now, granted, I'm not crapping on the 3 Stages of Hell match because people still even talk about that match to this day, and I had fun recording that match. It was a fun match to record. I like that match to this day. But this was back during the time where I had no idea how to implement psychology into my league. I didn't have no idea how to implement storytelling into my league. I had no idea the ins and outs of what makes a certain call league work. I was basically just recording matches in angles that I thought were cool, but didn't have the end game or the foresight to see where it was going. Because after that match, Sokka left, remember? Sokka didn't even come back. So it was a quickly rushed storyline. I quickly rushed it. I wasn't very fond. I wasn't too fond of that storyline, honestly. I really wasn't. And honestly, I'm gonna give you one more too. And this might be another surprise as well. The storyline between Nightwing and Beast Boy. Did not like that storyline as well because but the thing is that I was turning Beast Boy face from the Teen Titans group. I'm kind of thinking if I should have ever done that in the first place. And I tried, and I remember like when Beast Boy was the Impulse champion, and Edward Elric was trying to cash in the Road Distance briefcase back in that time. I was trying to make a Beast Boy the John Cena of ACW in a way. Like I was trying to forcefully edit the crowd reaction to make some people cheer him and some people boo him. Um, yeah, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. And then you had Terra come in. I tried to make Terra like a Sting kind of character, and I just didn't really like it. So there you go. Those are some storylines that I wasn't really fond of, that I kind of weren't really my best. If you want to talk about it. Man, I gotta go quick on these questions. Let's see here. He also asks, when is the next time we will see a Hell in a Cell match in ACW? Stay tuned. That's all I'm gonna say. What colleagues you've been watching lately, and your thoughts on it? Certain colleagues I've been watching, obviously watching SCAW. You know, the thing is, ACW and SCAW in a way are kind of the last of the Mohicans. Like Lone Star and I started our leagues around the same time in 2006. Maybe Lone Star started a little bit later than me, but we've been around for quite a long time. Like we're kind of reaching our 10th anniversary here, both SCAW and myself with ACW. So both of us are kind of the in a way, in terms of the fantasy colleagues out there, we're the last of a dying breed, and puts a lot of things into perspective. But I've always been a fan of Lone Star. Lone Star's always been a fan of my work as well. It's always been a mutual respect towards one another, and I really do hope one day that me and Lone Star and I can do something. We can probably put something together and do something, but never say never. Another show, obviously, I watched DCA. I've been watching that before they even hired me to be announcer, the lead commentator for their league. But I think DCA is one of the hottest and most fastest rising CAW leagues out there, in my opinion. And that's not me saying that to be a DCA mark or to be a DCA shill, but it's just the fact that I think DCA is a really good show, in my opinion. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched it. CCL, obviously, with Eddie Mack and the Champ and those guys. Obviously, a big fan of them. It's going to be sad that they're going to be done with CCL next year. I would kind of hope in a way that Eddie could kind of continue it a little bit more, because I think CCL hasn't even. I think CCL can do a lot of more things, but hey, life over call, man. So I'm not going to really be mad at that decision, but I'll just enjoy the ride as much as I can. What else? TWA. In TWA itself now, TWF is going to be closing its doors this year in July. When they're done, when they do end of days in July, that's going to be it for them, which is kind of a shame because I got involved in TWA last year, and I'm just now trying to catch up to all this stuff, and now it's going to be gone this year, and I think that's that's kind of a little bit sad in a way, but hey, I'll enjoy that ride as well. I watched TAW, Joshua Campbell, go check him out as well. Watch that. It's a pretty good colleague. It's kind of an indie fed in itself in a way as well. Obviously, I watched Battle X. OCBF, I watch it when they put out their arena matches from time to time. Obviously, I watch UCCW. Obviously, they're on hiatus right now. But hey, that's just the way it is. But I tend to watch UCCW from time to time. TNXA, people have their opinions on TNXA. I happen to watch the show as well there. See, the thing here with me is that I watch a lot of CAW leagues out there. Not just because I'm a fan of CAW, but because I, on a weekly basis, try to improve myself every single week. So that's why I watch a lot of colleagues. So there's your answer there. William Simeon. I hope this doesn't get on your newscast, bro, but I have to ask. How do you feel about the punishment that Tom Brady is hopefully getting if he doesn't appeal it? Because it will suck if he doesn't get the punishment. It sucks with the punishment that he's getting now. 4 games? Are you kidding me? Now, a lot of Patriots marks are going to come in here and say, oh, you guys are just mad because they won the Super Bowl. It's really not that. Now, granted, I really don't like the Patriots. Not because they're a, not because they are a conference rival to us Broncos, but it's just I've never liked the team. I just never liked the whole dynasty bullshit that the NFL and sports media have tried to perpetuate. Now, granted, they deserve those rings, I guess, but for people to just shove it down your throat, it got sick to me. And I've always regarded Tom Brady as one of the best quarterbacks of our generation as well. But that might be in jeopardy now, because now we're finding out that Tom Brady had some whereabouts as to the deflated balls that happened during that conference game with the Colts last year. Now, granted, they were going to beat the Colts regardless of whether the balls were inflated or not. But it just tells you that there's always some sort of controversy with the pages whenever stuff like this comes up. And for Tom Brady to be suspended for just 4 games, not even a half of a season, for the Patriots just to lose $1 million, $1 million doesn't mean shit to them. That's just a drop in their bucket. And then what? They lose a first draft pick next year, and they lose a fourth round pick the following year. That doesn't mean anything. They'll just trade it back. So this is a slap on the wrist and nothing more. If they were really gonna drop the hammer, the Patriots would have been fined at least $3 million. Brady would have at least had to serve half of a season out, if not a whole season. And I would almost suggest that there would be some sort of relegations implied towards Bill Belichick and Tom Brady to make sure the hammer's dropped and something like this never happens again. This is my opinion, but you know that the Patriots will find a way to get out of it, like if they haven't already. Let's see. Alright. Joshua Howe asked me, second question. Hakeem is finally the XL champion. What could be next for the XL roster in his reign of hell? Like I told you earlier in that XL preview, I don't know, man. Hakeem has had a chip on his shoulder for a number of years in ACW, and now he's the XL champion. If you thought his anger back then before he was champion was something, I have no idea what's going to happen when he actually inserts that power as champion. Whoever takes that title away from him has to be special. It has to be a special kind of person that can beat Hakeem for that title. And I don't even know who that is. That person might not even be in this roster right now. That's how I'm feeling right now. And his third question was, 3 hottest women on the NXT roster in your personal opinion, in terms of sex appeal, of course. Okay, I can do that. Now, in terms of sex appeal, we're talking about looks, in terms of my preferences, in terms of what I consider as sexy, in terms of what I feel I am attracted to. Okay. My first one has to be Bayley. People may not like her scrawny, scrunchy face. I kind of like it. It's kind of cute to me. And I like her body as well. That's just kind of me. I'm kind of a thicker than a Snicker kind of person. You know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, Bayley, she has to be hot. As a matter of fact, one of my close friends, one of my absolute close friends that happens to be a pro wrestler like me, the guy that actually trained me, and I won't say his name for privacy reasons, but he actually told me a story about how he used to know and meet Bayley before she was Bayley in NXT and WWE, and how he had a nice one-night stand with her. I was like, damn it, man. I was like, damn it, man. I am jealous. And he would just tell me that in interest against. I'm like, wow, man. Wow, way to just rub the salt on the wound. That is my heart! Okay, calm down, Hakeem. Calm down. Stay cool. Stay cool. Okay. So, yeah, Bayley would be one. Another one has to be, I think, Sasha Banks as well. Not because she's just a sister or anything, but it's just because she's also somebody that looks really attractive to me. As you know, Sasha Banks is a relative distant cousin to Snoop Dogg. And she's also, obviously, apparently, an avid anime fan. So that gets some plus points with me as well. So, I think Sasha Banks is another one that I can see is hot. And a third and final one, it might be Carmella. It might be Carmella with Amore and Cass. I don't know. Something about her seems like she's a cool chick. And she's a pretty cool looker as well. So, I think those will be your 3. Bayley, Sasha, and Carmella. I think that's not bad. I don't think it's bad. Alright, Matthew William Higuera. Ready to declare this one Wednesday Wrestling Night because June 3rd we're going to have Impact, NXT, and Lucha Underground. Yes, indeed. Wednesday nights are apparently going to be some wrestling nights because now you've got Lucha Underground, which is on Wednesdays, I believe at 8 o'clock p.m. I think Eastern Time. And then now you've got TNA. They have now moved to Wednesdays on Destination America. They will be starting at 9 o'clock. And I think NXT is also, I believe, at 8 o'clock as well Eastern Time. So, you know, it's gonna be a good night of wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan, you're loving this news. If you're a wrestling fan, you're loving this news that you're getting Impact, Lucha Underground, and NXT all in the same night to fill up your wrestling fill, even for a whole week. So that's got to be some good news for wrestling fans, in my opinion. Joey Shurba asked me a couple of questions here, a lot of them actually. Top 3 TNA knockouts you can name. If we're gonna talk overall, we gotta say Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, and hmm, I'll just say Mickey James. I'll say Mickey James. Although Taryn Terrell is starting to really kind of fit into that role as well. I gotta be honest. How are you today? Oh, I'm doing fine. I just, took some long walks on the beach. I just looked into the sea. I just ate some coconuts, just kind of relaxed, lied into my hammock, and just ordered a bunch of my waitresses around to get me some drinks, and I just had a good time. How was your day, Joey? Um, what did you have for breakfast? I had some rice and white meat chicken. I know, not really a breakfast, but it's my life, my rules. Um, how much do you bench press? Last time I think I bench pressed, my maximum bench press was like 325, 330. But to be fair, to be honest, I have not bench pressed in a while. Granted, I do go to the gym. Don't get me wrong, I do go to the gym. I mean, I got a kind of a big athletic body. Now, granted, I got a gut now. But when you see me, if you saw me in person, you can tell that I have a athletic kind of background of sorts because of my body and the way I kind of look. So, but I do go to the gym. I just haven't bench pressed in a while. I probably bench way lower now than I ever have when I was 325, 330, max 325 to 330. But I might have to go back into that actually. Are you still a virgin? What kind of questions are these? I guess I told everyone to ask me anything, so that's my fault. Stupid Hakeem. But yeah, okay. Am I still a virgin? No, I am not. Trust me, I am not. Again, there's nothing wrong if you are a virgin. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're not a virgin, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's your life. Live your life the way you want to live it. No one should kind of judge you or come at you for one way or another. Um, but am I a virgin? No, I am not. I get mine in when I can, how I can, the way I do it. And how do you feel about today's generation of society? Quick story short. Ah, I'm just sounding like Porky Pig lately. I don't know why. Maybe I need to just watch some cartoons. But long story short, there you go. Today's generation is yes, they are entitled, and I am a part of this generation. Yes, they are entitled. They feel like they should be given everything instead of working hard for it. Um, they try to act. They try to act different without knowing how to be different. They try to be rebellious, but they're not. They're just a long line of people that are a part of the status quo. And no one builds anymore. No one innovates anymore like our parents and grandparents used to do. Now, granted, at the same time, the previous generations that are just saying that this generation is the worst generation of all time, who is the generations that had to apply? Who are the generations that led to this problem? The same generation that had the greatest depression in this country. The same generation that took them years until racism was deemed an uncivil act in this country. The same generation that wants to come up and say that they stole land from the native people that were here first. The same generation that went to war with other countries under false pretenses. Yeah, that's those same generations. Give me a damn break. Although this generation isn't that much better, let's not act like the previous generation was just sunshine and rainbows, alright? Alright. Alright. Charles Bell asked me, would you ever consider joining an E-Fed as a wrestler? Probably not. I know about the whole E-Fed game, the whole E-Fed world. I even did EWR when I was a kid. But, yeah, I just wouldn't have the time to be a part of an E-Fed. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just wouldn't be a part of that. 2, are there any E-Feds you like currently? Again, I don't really pay attention to E-Feds. I guess the only one that I kind of pay attention to is GWA, that Joshua Howell kind of runs. I kind of just look at that from time to time. But otherwise, I don't really check for them like that. I just really don't. And what do you think is the best female call you have made in ACW currently? You know what? I can't answer that question because that person is not on the roster right now. or at least in your eyes, not on the roster. So can't really answer that question. So kind of stick around. You might get that question. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, sorry. Garak Weevil from Battle X once again asked me some 2 questions. Number 1, is there any good reason why Gohan and Frieza are on the same side? You know, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard to kind of figure out why. Like I stated earlier, Gohan is a sadistic, sick son of a bitch. He's not the Gohan that you once grew up to like and once grew up to idolize. It's a completely different Gohan, and Gohan will do whatever he has to do to benefit himself and make everyone suffer for going against him for doing so. And if that means to join and align himself with a guy that wiped out almost the entirety of the Saiyan race and almost killed, well, at least pretty much did kill, his father, because that's how much Gohan hates his father at this point, then that's what he's going to do. It's not out of the norm for Gohan to just suddenly team up with Frieza at this point. It's really not that hard. I think people are overthinking that a bit too much. It's not that hard. And then the second question, have you ever tried using your ACW Wrestling season mode and or universe mode? If so, how did it turn out? I actually did. It was kind of interesting. Actually, some of the times that I did use ACW Wrestlers on season mode or universe mode, it gave me ideas as to how I wanted to do certain ACW storylines. So it was kind of a big help. It kind of helped me out, kind of do that kind of stuff. So let's see. Sunny Hamaud asked me, what are the best and worst ways to build a star in wrestling? Now, some people will say listen to the fans, and that's part of it. That's not all of it. Because as much as you have to give the fans what they want, that doesn't necessarily mean the fans know what they want. And a perfect example is this year with Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan came back and announced to be part of the Royal Rumble, I remember everybody said, oh man, fuck Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan's our savior. Daniel Bryan can win the Rumble and face Brock Lesnar in an epic David and Goliath match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then Daniel Bryan can be WWE World Heavyweight Champion again. Yeah! Yeah, man! All that did really was just undercut Roman Reigns' push and made Daniel Bryan be a part of a random-ass ladder match for the Intercontinental title. And then look what happened. After WrestleMania, we're back on the same track again with Daniel Bryan. Now he is injured, and this may be even worse than the one he had last year. He just had to relinquish the Intercontinental title this week. And he may not even wrestle for a long period of time, if not ever. So this is the second consecutive year that Daniel Bryan has been injured post-WrestleMania and has had to take off an extended period of time. So had the WWE had listened to those fans, Daniel Bryan would have had to relinquish the WWE World Heavyweight title again. People gotta think. People gotta use their foresight. I knew that Daniel Bryan came back way too early when he was announced for the Rumble. Because he should have been gone after. He should have came back at the very least after WrestleMania 31. If that meant Daniel Bryan had to miss a WrestleMania, good, fine. It's for his betterment. It's for his health. It's for his lifestyle in the future. So when I knew he came back at the Rumble, he wasn't ready to come back. He just wasn't ready. And to be honest with you, when he came back at the Rumble, ever since he came back from that Rumble, it hasn't been the same Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry. The whole yes movement that we witnessed last year isn't the same as this year. What was once organic and genuine last year for Daniel Bryan in his road to the WWE World Heavyweight title, it didn't feel the same this year. It just didn't, because it felt like the same song and dance, and people felt like, oh man, Bryan might injure himself again. And lo and behold, he injured himself again. So, in terms of what are the best ways and worst ways to build a star in wrestling, the best way to build a star is to be gradual with him or her. Wrestling does not know how to do this anymore. People don't know how to build a star gradually. Now, granted, you can say all you want about Roman Reigns, but the fact of the matter is, he is an example of someone that they took time and investment in for almost a year, leading up to his WWE World Heavyweight title match against Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. You got to give the WWE credit here. They took a year to build. I mean, except the whole injury that he had, but it took a year to build Roman Reigns to somebody that you can buy as a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I'm sorry. So that's a good way to do it, to build gradually, to let him or her engage with the fans. Let him or her tell their story to the people, and let the people gravitate towards that story and the man and or woman behind that story. That way, when you do the payoff, it might be predictable, but it still made you love it. It still made you just say that was awesome. I think the best way to say this was, you look at the storyline with Stone Cold Steve Austin back in 1997, leading into his WrestleMania 14 WWF title match with Shawn Michaels. Stone Cold Steve Austin, this badass, this foul-mouthed, beer-drinking, foul language, just explicit, in-your-face badass, coming around saying that he's the toughest son of a bitch that you'll ever see in the WWF. The match that he had with Bret Hart at Survivor Series 1996 and then WrestleMania 13 solidified that notion, especially WrestleMania 13, with that perfect double heel turn that made people think, you know what, I might not like that loudmouth, but I can respect him for having to not tap out. He passed out. He would let the pain defeat him rather than him be defeated by the pain. So, you know, that was a good story. And then Austin took that momentum. And then, when he got injured by Owen Hart with that botched Tombstone Piledriver at SummerSlam 1997, people thought, oh man, he still went through that match. That is a tough son of a bitch there. Maybe he is the toughest son of a bitch ever step foot in a ring. And you built that character of Stone Cold. You built up his story. You built up his road to eventually become the top man in the business at that time. That's why Stone Cold worked. That's why The Rock worked. That's why The Undertaker worked. That's why Shawn Michaels worked. Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, Sting, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. That's why they worked. Even John Cena when he won his first title. That's why they worked. Because you were gradual. You gave them enough time to connect with the crowd and connect with the people and let them get invested in them, so when the payoff happens, everyone comes off better for it. That's how stars are built, in my opinion. They're not half-assed, they're not rushed, they're not forced, they're not even pushed hard for no reason whatsoever. They are gradually accepted. They are gradually in an ebb and flow story and road to where you get to the crescendo of their highest accomplishment. It's that sweet. So there you go. And then my final question here, Vinny Criscone, VPAC from YouTube. If you're not subscribing to him, I might just chop you in the throat at this point. I don't know why you're not subscribing to my boy. Maybe you're just a loser like that. I don't know. But subscribe to VPAC on YouTube. He makes some of the best COD videos you'll see for all different COD leagues. But his question was, I got one question. Why is Cloud's entrance theme from Ghost in the Shell and not Final Fantasy? Basically, I was trying to look for a Final Fantasy theme song for Cloud, but quite honestly, Final Fantasy, their theme song, they're not really wrestling entrance theme-wise that I was looking for, so I accidentally clicked on a Ghost of the Shell video, and it was that song, and I was like, okay, why not? I'll just give it to Cloud. Now, granted, I'm always changing theme songs for certain wrestlers here and there. It seems like every time, so who knows? Cloud might get a new song eventually, but I kind of like this current song for Cloud, so I'm going to stick with him for right now. Let's see. Oh, wait, I did have one more question. Okay, here's the last question. Jeremy Ishmael from XWA on YouTube, make sure you check out his channel there, said, or asked me, what helps you when you have writers block for promos or creative block for storylines? One of the things I do is that I take a hiatus. And not a lot of people do that for colleagues. That's why with certain colleagues you can look at them and say, man, they're just getting stale. It looks like they're running out of ideas. That's why after every Animania that I ever did, I always take a pretty decent to long hiatus from ACW. That's so I can just relax and not have to worry about the league. I can rejuvenate. I can just rethink and just rewrite a lot of things and get storylines ready for the next year. I can watch movies and television and cartoons and video games and probably get some storyline aspects from them and apply it into ACW. So that's one of the things I do to kind of avoid those kind of creative or writing blocks for my head, so I don't have to do the same song and dance. So that would be one. That's a way to do it. So thank you guys very much for that Q&A session. Make sure if you want to have your questions answered, you make sure you send your questions to me when the newscast post is made on the Anime Championship Wrestling page on Facebook. And when you see it, just give me all your questions and I will answer everyone, no matter how ridiculous and personal they are. Don't worry, I didn't mind it. So, we have come to the end of the newscast, and I kind of wanted to speak on something before we leave here. Don't worry about that noise. My throat gets You know how your throat gets all ticklish, but you can't use your hands to scratch your throat, obviously, so you have to make that noise to make it go away. Anyways, that was too much information. Back to what I was saying, though. Wow, I just kind of thought of nothing anyway. Anyways, the summer is coming soon. I may be looking into getting a second job for myself, and summer is coming, so that means summer classes will begin, and I'm actually going to be taking summer classes this year for my own credits and benefit, and just other stuff in life right now that is going to have me a little bit occupied. So I'm not saying that I'm going to be taking a hiatus. Don't get that confused. I'm not going to take a hiatus that makes you guys wonder when is ACW coming back. That's not where this is going. But in the next coming weeks, expect that there's going to be some delays. Like, you know how Excel's on Mondays and Thursdays are Impulse? Well, I might have to move them a day or two from that original day set. To kind of meet the requirements so I don't have to go on hiatus. But yeah, I'm going to be really busy for the next couple of weeks this year. I'm going to be really busy. So, if you see any delay, if there's any delays, if I don't even announce delays, you'll know why. I'm just really busy. I'm going to be really busy in these next coming weeks. So, yeah, it's going to kind of consume what I do ACW-wise. That's why I'm trying to do these episodes 30 to 45 minutes. I keep doing hour-long ones at this point. I don't know why. Probably just too much stuff that I have to add into it. But I don't mind that. But I might have to be shortening. These Excel and Impulse episodes in the near future because of that reason alone. So, just giving you guys a little bit of a warning there. But yeah, other than that, that was my little announcement that I had to make. If you guys see some delays or interruptions here and there for ACW programming, just know that's why. I'm going to be very busy in the near future this year, so there's that. So, with that out of the way, thank you guys very much for another edition of the ACW Newscast. I don't know when the next newscast will be. Maybe whenever I feel like it, whenever I feel like I want to do one. But make sure you guys are watching Payback, I guess, today. I mean, I might not really watch it, but if you guys are going to watch it, good luck, more power to you. Also, make sure you watch Excel and Impulse this coming week. Tuesday for Excel, Friday for Impulse. And make sure you tune in on Friday, June 5th for ACW Fusion, which will be coming to you guys from Madison Square Garden on YouTube and VO. It's going to be the most important mega event that I have ever done and will commentate, and one of the most important mega events in ACW history. Period. So, with that out of the way, I need to relax, I need to chill, I need to get ready for the next week, and all that good stuff. So, with that in mind, this is Hakeem Johnson telling you all to, and you guys can say it with me, I guess, stay cool! Stay cool! I will see you guys next time on the newscast whenever I feel like it, whatever. Alright, bye!